Lila Carter, new to Boise, buys a mysterious silver locket at a yard sale, only to be stalked by the seller Cal, who insists it belongs to someone else, a woman who vanished under suspicious circumstances. As cryptic notes, strange encounters, and unexplained events pile up, Lila grapples with the locket's eerie pull and the growing sense that she's being watched by something, or someone, tied to its past. Her attempts to escape lead to a chilling encounter that forces her to flee, leaving her haunted by the feeling that the locket's shadow still lingers, even still. The kind of place where the sun warmed your skin, but the breeze carried a warning of winter. I'd been in my new duplex for just over a month, a corner unit with creaky hardwood floors and a view of a sycamore-lined street. I was still learning its rhythms when the garbage truck rumbled by. Which houses left their porch lights on? Which ones seemed to swallow the dark? My name's Lila Carter, 28, fresh off a job transfer from Spokane to manage a coffee shop downtown. The move was supposed to be a clean slate after a messy breakup, but the unpacked boxes in my living room said I wasn't quite there yet. That Sunday, I woke up restless. The duplex felt too quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you hear your own heartbeat. The air smelled of cut grass and pine, and the sidewalks were uneven, cracked by tree roots that seemed to own the place. Halfway to the park, I spotted a cardboard sign leaning against a mailbox, "Yard Sale," scrawled in thick black marker with an arrow pointing down a cul-de-sac I hadn't explored yet. The house at the end of the cul-de-sac was a red brick rancher, low and tired, with a sagging carport and a lawn that looked like it had given up. Weeds poked through the gravel driveway and a rusty wind chime clinked faintly in the breeze. A man in his early 40s, wiry with a faded mariner's cap pulled low, was arranging items on a wobbly card table. "Morning," he said, like we were neighbors. "Take a look. Got some good stuff." His name, he told me, was Cal. His flannel shirt was rolled to the elbows and his hands moved with a restless energy, like he was eager to be done with the sale. The table was a jumble of the usual yard sale fare, mismatched coffee mugs with cheesy slogans, a stack of sci-fi paperbacks with cracked spines, a chipped ceramic angel missing one wing. A plastic bin held tangled Christmas lights, and a folding chair propped up a pile of faded board games. Nothing worth stopping for, until my eyes caught something against the carport wall, a wooden jewelry box, dark cherry with a faint floral carving on the lid. It was about the size of a loaf of bread, heavier than it looked, with a brass hinge that creaked when I lifted it. When I opened it, a black and white photo of a young woman stared back, her expression caught somewhere between a smile and a frown, her eyes dark and unreadable. The photo was old, maybe from the 60s, the edges curling slightly. "How much for this?" I asked, holding up the locket. He rubbed the back of his neck. $10, he said too quickly, like he'd rehearsed it. "Came with the house. Last owner left a bunch of stuff and I'm just clearing it out." I pulled a crumpled 10 from my wallet and he scribbled my name, Lila, on a scrap of receipt paper, his handwriting sharp and blocky. "Just in case," he said, tucking the paper into his pocket. The weight of it felt strange, like it carried more than just metal and wood. The locket's photo kept drawing my eye, the woman's face, the way her lips curved but didn't quite smile. But as I went about my day, unpacking a box of dishes, streaming a podcast to fill the silence, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had brought home something I wasn't supposed to have. That evening, as I locked the front door before bed, I noticed the porch light across the street was out. Now the street felt darker, the shadows thicker. I double-checked the deadbolt, a habit from my old apartment in Spokane, and went to bed. The jewelry box sat on the counter, catching the faint glow of the kitchen clock. Chapter 2. The Visitor. Monday was a blur of work, training a new barista, juggling inventory, the usual chaos of a coffee shop during the morning rush. By the time I got home, the sun was dipping low, painting the duplex in shades of gold and gray. It wasn't a neighborly tap, but a deliberate 3-beat knock that made my shoulders tense. It was Cal, standing under the dim glow of my porch light, hands shoved deep in his jacket pockets. "Hey, Lila," he said when I opened the door a crack, his voice too familiar, like we'd known each other for years. His eyes darted past me, scanning the living room. past the half-unpacked boxes, the thrift store couch, the stack of books on the coffee table. I frowned, gripping the door. I paid for it. Why do you need it? He hesitated, his jaw tightening. It's not supposed to be out there. Belonged to someone important. His words were careful, like he was choosing them one by one. I crossed my arms. I'll pay you back the $10, he said finally. Just give it to me. I shook my head. I'll be around, he said, then backed off the porch, his boots crunching on the gravel path. I watched him disappear into the dark, the streetlight across the street still out. It was a single sheet of plain white paper, folded once with neat block letters. Return the locket. It's not yours to keep. The handwriting matched the receipt Cal had written my name on, sharp. I tucked the note into a kitchen drawer next to a tangle of charging cords and tried to shake the unease creeping up my spine. It was just a note, I told myself. Probably just Cal being weird about a sale he regretted. He was leaning against a lamppost at the end of my street, hands in his pockets, cap pulled low. My heart kicked up a notch, and I quickened my pace, the jewelry box in my tote bag suddenly feeling heavier. The duplex was too quiet, the kind of quiet that amplifies every creak and hum. I grabbed my phone and pulled up the feed from the cheap security camera I owned stuck to the back window, a holdover from my Spokane days when I worried about package thieves. The image was grainy, the colors washed out, but there was Cal, standing by my patio table staring at the sliding glass door. He wasn't holding anything, wasn't moving, just standing there, his cap casting a shadow over his face. In the morning, I checked the patio. A single cigarette butt lay near the table, the filter still damp, the air sharp with the scent of smoke. I don't smoke. Neither does my neighbor, a retired nurse who spends her days gardening. The locket was still in its box on the counter, the woman's photo staring up at me when I opened it, her eyes seeming to follow mine. Chapter 3. The weight of watching. The next few days were a blur of paranoia. I started noticing things, a smudge on the kitchen window like someone had pressed their palm against it, the glass streaked with faint oils. Another note appeared, this time taped to my car's windshield after work. The officer was polite but dismissive. Sounds like a disgruntled seller, he said. Keep us posted if it escalates. I hung up, the word escalates echoing in my head. The duplex felt smaller, the walls closer. My neighbor, Mrs. Delgado, caught me checking the locks one evening as she watered her roses. She's a wiry woman in her 60s with a sharp eye and a habit of knowing everyone's business. You okay, Lila? She asked, her voice low. I hesitated, then mentioned Cal, leaving out the locket. Bought it cheap after the last owner vanished. A woman, lived alone. Cops came around a year ago asking questions. Never found her. She paused, her watering can dripping onto the sidewalk. I didn't tell her about the locket, didn't want to drag her into whatever this was. But that night, I couldn't stop thinking about the woman in the photo, her unreadable expression. I Googled missing persons in Boise, scrolling through articles about cases from the last few years. Still, the search left me uneasy, like I was brushing against something I wasn't meant to see. It was past 10 p.m. when I got to my car, parked under a flickering streetlight in the lot behind the shop. My heart slammed against my ribs. I spun around, and there was Cal, maybe 10 feet away, hands in his pockets, cap casting a shadow over his eyes. I backed toward my car, my keys digging into my palm. You'll know soon enough, he said, his smile small and wrong, like he was sharing a secret I didn't want. When I peeled out of the lot, he was still standing there watching. I hadn't touched it. I checked the doors, the windows. Everything was locked, the latches untouched. Nothing was missing, nothing moved except the locket. Chapter 4. The Unraveling. I didn't sleep that night. The desk officer, a tired-looking woman with a tight bun, listened as I spilled everything. Cal's visits, the notes, the cigarette butt, the locket moving on its own. She took the envelope, her pen scratching notes on a yellow pad. Stay vigilant. The word felt like a brick in my stomach. On my way home, I took a detour past Cal's house, my stomach twisted. Had he left? Was he running from something? I didn't stop, didn't want to linger. For a week, things were quiet. I added a second deadbolt to the front door, bought a chain for the sliding glass door, and stopped walking alone at night. I kept the Locket's photo in my mind, her face burned into my memory. Then one evening, my phone pinged with a motion alert from the backyard camera. I opened the app, my hands clammy. The feed showed a woman, tall, pale, with long dark hair, standing by the patio table, her back to the camera. She didn't move, didn't turn, just stood there for 30 seconds, her silhouette sharp against the dusk. Then the feed cut out, the screen going black. When I checked again, the footage was gone, like it had never recorded. Same handwriting, same cigarette smell. I called the police again, showed them the note, told them about the camera. I moved the following week to a new apartment across town, a third-floor unit with a gated entrance. I left no forwarding address, told no one except my boss and Mrs. Delgado. I don't know if it was Cal or the woman in the photo, but I feel her sometimes. A prickle on my neck when I'm locking up at night. A shadow that moves too slowly in my peripheral vision. I don't go to yard sales anymore. Some things, you're better off not owning. I keep the curtains drawn, the deadbolt locked, and a small knife in my nightstand, just in case.